questions? We have tons of them. What if some of those questions can be answered with a simple email? Now is that time, and welcome to Chat with Charlie. Host Stephanie Lynn is a certified spiritual life coach and psychic medium. She will work together with Spirit to answer both your submitted and live questions. Not only will Stephanie be providing you with insight, but also interviews with amazing guests. Now, your host of Chat with Charlie, Stephanie Lynn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chat with Charlie. I am your host, Stephanie Lynn, and you are watching on WLTK-DB Let's Talk Radio. Thank you. Good morning to everybody who is already popping in. Luann, Brittany, Angela, I'm so glad that you are here to join us. We have a really great show today and actually had the privilege to add a special guest, which I'm very excited about. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk to you about what's coming up here, just because once we get into the show today, I don't want to stop and really tell you what's going on with me. So, as a lot of you guys may have heard on the last show, maybe you caught it when Rob was on earlier in this week, I have a new show coming out where I am co-hosting with Rob Thompson. It is called Universe, and it's going to be here on Thursday nights at 6 Central Standard Time. So I hope you will tune in. Our next show, or our first show actually, is going to be next Thursday evening. So make sure that you tune in. And in 2 weeks on Thursday, Ellie is going to be joining us in the mix, where we are going to kind of talk about some of these metaphysical topics, some of these what are often dubbed weird news stories that kind of pop up in society. And we're going to discuss those, and we're going to answer your questions on topics that you have. So that's what's coming up. Make sure that you're always checking in. We are adding new shows constantly to the station and things going on. So make sure you hop on WLTKDB.com and check out what they have going on there and share, get the word out, help other people find us, because we really want to be here to support you, the viewers. Good morning, Jamie. And I apologize today, and Todd's probably back there laughing because I'm going to be looking around to different spots. If I don't look like now, I don't look like I'm looking at you, it's because I've got things kind of set up all over the place. So just bear with me as we kind of work through that. So today, you guys have seen Michael Christopher. He's an evidential medium here. You've probably seen him as he goes live on his Facebook page pretty often. We're going to be welcoming him back. And maybe you guys have caught him when he's doing his lives with Jennifer Lee, who is our special guest. So I'm really excited to welcome both of them. They are both psychic mediums. Please help me welcome Michael Christopher and Jennifer Lee to the show.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys today?
Coffee's kicking in, so I'm good.
That's good.
I think.
I know. That's the problem with the show is it's an early show, and people, especially when you start reaching out into the different time zones, they're like, oh, what time do I have to get up? So I appreciate you guys getting up and looking beautiful for us today.
It was pretty easy.
I love it. So before we get in, and I want to remind the viewers, we are doing a live reading show today, answering your questions, giving you support from spirits. Good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning, Jamie. Thank you for tuning in. So you can start popping in your questions, and we'll start starring those and kind of bumping them aside so we can answer those. Can you guys tell us a little bit about you, people who might not be familiar, kind of what you do, how you work?
Ladies first.
Okay, so I am an evidential psychic medium. I'm also a certified death doula, and I do some energy healing as well and grief support. So the way that I work, they're all three completely separate things, but yet
Yes,
kind of the same. So when it comes to mediumship, really, it's just, it's all about switching my awareness and trying to bring in as much evidence as spirit will give me so that, my sitter is absolutely confident that there is a connection with their loved one. And so that looks like sometimes names, special memories, dates, just, whatever is going to let them know. I'm sorry, it's still early. My brain isn't even working this morning.
Listen, 5 minutes before Michael came on. I'm like, I was backstage and I was talking to Todd and I was complaining about my camera screen situation. And I literally picked up my camera to try to show it to him. So that's how not awake I am. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's not going to work. So I get it. It's more coffee. We'll be okay.
We'll get through.
Michael.
What's that?
You go ahead now.
It's easy. What she said minus the death doula.
I love it. I love it. Perfect. That works out great. And I love these comments that are coming in. Courtney says, this is the squirrel channel. We're all a little squirrely today. I love it. Jacqueline says, they're crazy. LOL, crazy good. So Jacqueline, good morning, Joni.
Well, we always say we have to be a little bit crazy to do this.
Oh, you know, you have to be, and you have to, because I think you have to be open to such a wide array of conversations, right? So how do you do that with such a fixed mindset? You can't.
No. And people early on, before they got to know me and what I did for a living, and then they found out what I did for a living, they're like,
right.
That's definitely left brain, right brain kind
Absolutely.
of like fighting each other. Because I mean, I'm type A personality. I mean, I had to be in air traffic control.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like weaning back a little bit from that. And
Right.
so it's, they're complete opposites. I mean, a lot of different, work situations are different, but air traffic control is, but I always say though, it was good training for this because air traffic control, you're multitasking. I mean, if you're not doing
absolutely
at least four to five different things at once.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, I look back at those 33 years and I'm like, wow, because that's how it is when you communicate.
Oh, absolutely.
Talking to the person sitting there, plus listening at the same time, and just,
And my husband, because I used to dispatch, and my husband will be like, well, I'm like, well, it's not that much different from dispatching. You got this conversation going on and this one and this one, and you just process through it. So you just keep going.
Yeah.
So
I
was going to say something and I totally forgot.
Did a penny roll by you on the floor or something?
Right? I know. It's been a day. So everybody, just a reminder, if you have any psychic questions, mediumship questions, things that you're looking for, we don't do live reading shows very often on this show, but we are today. So you can start popping those in. What is, I kind of wanted to touch on, Jennifer, a death doula for people who might not, we hear of doulas bringing life into the world, but working as a death doula, how do you support and what does that look like for you?
Well, that's exactly it. It is supporting in that transition of life because we're all about birth when babies come in and, we're celebrating and we're preparing and we're doing all the things. But when it comes to leaving this physical body, there's kind of nobody wants to talk about it, right? Because it's very sad. However, what I have found is the person that's actually transitioning, that's actually leaving, really does want to talk about it. They have things they want to say.
Yeah.
Just about, their life and how they feel about dying. They have things that they want to, speak to their loved ones about. What do they want their service to look like? How do they want to be remembered? All of these things that are really hard conversations to have with their loved ones.
Yeah.
It's just hard for them. So it's nice to have a neutral party that they can talk to about those things. It's about doing legacy projects, which might be me writing as they tell me stories.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Maybe putting a scrapbook together, maybe a quilt, just whatever. It's a legacy project. Sometimes it's little notes in a box, which I've done with someone. And then there is also the sitting vigil aspect of it.
Right.
So often I will sit vigil with somebody, which is absolutely beautiful because this is where I get to bring the mediumship part in.
Yes, absolutely.
So we get to connect with the loved ones on the other side. And so the family that's sitting there with their loved one as they're making their way to their next life, right? And they're leaving this earthly body. Right. There is some comfort knowing who's there with them,
absolutely
coming around to support them, who's, who is there. And so that is actually really amazing. Also, we can have, if I can tap into, which often I can, the person that is passing, sometimes they're not able to speak. And there are things that want to be said, that need to be said. And so we have those conversations. And often what is so beautiful right there is that all of these beautiful memories of their life come rolling in.
Yeah. How healing to be able to tie that all together.
Yeah. So it's it's really, really an amazing thing to be able to do. So really that's what it is. It's just about preparing and actually, I know celebrating is a weird word, but but
there is some celebration in that. You're celebrating, like you said, their life, their legacy, those things that we carry through this lifetime.
Yeah. So it's just having a neutral party that's able to navigate, and bring everyone together. So
I love
that's really what it is.
I love that. So I want to say good morning to Stephanie and Anita and Christina. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you guys are ready, we have a couple people that have popped in with questions.
Sure. The Facebook user that asked, when did you guys know you had abilities?
Yes.
I wasn't one of those people that knew from, childhood.
Right.
At least now, looking back, yes, I can see it was there. But it wasn't until I was 45. And I'm not going to go into my story, but it was about loss, my health, everything over a 20-year period kind of brought everything to a culmination. And then one day it just kicked wide open. And from there, still, it wasn't, I want to be a medium. It was like discovering what's this about and learning about it, and then kind of just keep pushing forward. And once I figured out that I was communicating with spirit, I was like, all right, this is intriguing.
Absolutely.
And just kept pushing forward and working with it.
Yeah. On Facebook, it's Beth Bowles.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So it was about the same time frame for me, actually. And hindsight is huge, right? We can go
absolutely
back in hindsight. There's little things now that I'm like, okay, that's what that was.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't. It was like 2014, 15.
Okay.
And kind of the same thing as Michael, just some trauma, just some loss, just a bunch of things that just kind of broke it wide open for me, because I think what happens in those times, at least for me, and I've talked to some other people about this, is we get in that trauma, right?
Yes.
And we're in such this low place. We're just looking. We're looking. And
absolutely.
We lose all of our preconceptions. Like for me, it was, I lost trust. I lost faith. I didn't know what was there. And so I actually asked one day, there's anybody or anything out there bigger than myself? Wow. Please give me a sign. And I promise I'm done controlling. And I promise I'm just going to follow it. Within hours, I got that sign in a huge way. And it was like, okay, you said, here we go.
Right.
But it did take me a couple of years of actually understanding. Wait, I asked for that and I got that.
Absolutely.
And then building on that. It wasn't. It wasn't.
It's not overnight, right?
No, absolutely not.
No,
definitely not.
No, and for me, it was the same thing. I never woke up and said I want to be a medium. Like, this was not where I ever planned on putting myself. But I was probably about 12 when I realized that I was different. And I've had things, like you said, hindsight's 2020 my whole life. It just took me until that point to realize the things I was experiencing didn't happen that way for everybody else. And I looked back, because trauma, and somebody had commented, trauma is a big initiator. And I was actually born not breathing. And so I had that near-death experience right when I came in. So sometimes I wonder, was that part of it? Or was this just always me? I don't know. But yeah, so I would say about 12.
Wow.
All right. Good morning, I want to say hi to everybody that's been kind of popping in. We're watching the comments. We're not ignoring you all. So good morning, Courtney and Michelle and everybody that's popping in.
Stephanie has a good question. Interesting question.
Yes.
So I'll go right to the end, and I'm sorry for your loss, but did they decide on the other side before coming here? It can be such a controversial topic, but I believe, so let me start this. I would suggest looking at the books by Dr. Michael Newton. He wrote Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, Life Between Lives. And real quick, Michael Newton was a regression therapist back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And long story short, he accidentally stumbled upon bringing people back to a previous life. So over a period of, I think, 20 years, he wrote 3 or 4 books and then began teaching this therapy. But in there, when has these people under hypnosis, he regresses them back to a previous life. And I actually had one of these sessions, and it was pretty mind-blowing.
Wow.
But he takes you from your previous life through your death and into the afterlife, and you kind of get to explore, the time in between that and in your present life. So he does talk about pre-planning. Do I think everything's pre-planned? No, but I think my feeling is that we have certain goals that we want to achieve during this life.
Right.
I'm kind of mixed on the part about, do we choose when we go? I don't know. I mean, nobody knows until we're there.
Right.
But those books were very intriguing, and they kind of go really in depth with that topic. So if you really want some interesting reading, I suggest picking up his series of books.
I kind of feel like that we choose the lessons, but not necessarily the circumstances in how we learn them, because we have such free will when we're down here and other people do. But like I said, I feel like we choose the lessons. We know what we need to learn. However, we don't always choose the circumstances of how we learn those, because I can't wrap my brain around anybody wanting to choose trauma or being, all of the things that happen. So that's kind of my thought on it, is we do and we don't.
Yeah. And what book was that again? She's asking, Michael.
So the author is Dr. Michael Newton, and it's Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, Life Between Lives, and there may be a 4th. I can't remember what it is though.
And for me on this topic, I kind of am in between both, Jennifer and Michael on my thoughts of this. I do think I agree that we don't always know how we're going to learn certain lessons that we come here to learn. But I do, and I've read a couple books, and I'm horrible with titles of books, but that talk about when we make the contract to come back, we choose different exit points where we can decide to exit out. And so my feeling is, because I think when you look at us just as humans, we all have had, wow, how did I not die doing that? Or, how did I make it through this? And so I think when I look at that, and it's just my opinion, that these are different times that we've put in where we could choose to transition out or not. And I don't know that we necessarily know exactly, hey, yep, this is when I want to transition out. But it's kind of like those, you want to quit your job. So you're like, I'm over this. Yep, I'm taking this next transition and I'm booting myself out. So I think in a way, yes, they did plan that, but it's kind of the way it worked out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, free will.
Yeah.
Because like you, I almost died at birth.
Right.
I had surgery at 1 day old to repair. Back in the 60s, they didn't have ultrasound, so it was basically cut me open. I had a hole in my esophagus, and I wasn't, something not breathing right, whatever it was, but they didn't think I was going to survive that. Apparently I did. And then I almost drowned once, and then I went through the kidney thing. So it's like I've had my share of exit points so far, and for some reason I'm still here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And I didn't want to show that one, but I guess Spirit did. So we're going to go with that one. I've been trying to tag them, but it brought this one in instead.
Yeah. No, I was reading that one too.
Okay. So see, there was a reason. They're like, no, this one's going now. They say they struggle with admitting out loud that they have some kind of ability, but in the last few years, they've really noticed things have been different. About a year ago, a friend told me she had a dream about a man who she knew had passed that hangs out around me. She started explaining him. She was describing my great-grandfather. Could he be one of my spirit guides?
There's a controversial topic.
Yes.
Because you're going to have people that say relatives can't be spirit guides. And my thought is anybody on the other side can be a guide.
Right.
Now, the traditional role of a spirit guide is someone who made an arrangement for you or with you before you entered this physical life to watch over you and be with you and guide you throughout this life. There's usually more than one. Again, my perspective is I don't think of them as individuals because they're not human, they're energy. So my guides are a collective, and but to say that your family can't be a guide, I think that's wrong. I think everybody on the other side can be a guide for you at some point And the part about struggling to admit out loud, I still say this. I don't shout it from the rooftop, but I don't hide it either.
Right.
People find me, they find me. And that's how it's been. So I know a lot of people struggle with actually saying that. And I still do. If somebody were to ask me right now, because I've been in air traffic control for 30 years, that's what I do up until a month ago. Again, third time quitting. But now if somebody asks, what do you do? I'm going to be like,
Right.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah. Well, I know the struggle is real, because when I first started, it was the same thing. Like I don't know. I wish we could break that, though. I wish we could break the stigma surrounding that, because it does make it difficult. I'm to the point now, if somebody asks me what I do, I just tell them.
Right.
And I'm okay. I'm not there to convince them of anything, but they ask me a question.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest about it.
Right.
So sometimes I get some funny looks, and sometimes people are fascinated, but it took me a long time. It took me a long time to be able to say, like, here's what I do.
Right. I'm kind of there too. I choose not to use my last name, and before it used to be out of fear, but now it's just kind of keeping some personal distance between what I do, and my family. So it's not so much that fear, but like Michael said, there's times people will ask you, and I'm like, are you sure you want to know? Because I'm just happy that I can wear pockets again. So like, do you really want to know what the other thing I do is? But as far as spirit guides, I had done a mentorship with Maria Celeste, and she had talked about the perspective of when we come here, we have what's called the inner circle. And those are the spirit guides that sign up. They choose to come here with us when we're born. And some of them come and go.
Those poor bastards that volunteered to follow.
I know. Like, who would do that? Really? I've said that too. And they, like they yell at me because I'm argumentative with them. And I'm like, I didn't sign the contract. Like, not, you guys knew. There's probably a disclaimer. Like, Todd's got a disclaimer for us. I'm sure I had a disclaimer for my spirit guides. But then she talked about also having an outer circle. And those can be, family members that come in to help you. And so that really resonated with me. And that's kind of where I stick on my views with that.
Can I say this really quick?
Yes.
And this is probably controversial too, but look, there are no rules when it comes to this. Nobody on this earth has definitive answers for any of this. So to me, anything and everything is a possibility. It's just what feels right to you. Because there's a lot. I mean, I know you two of you have experienced it. Someone will say one thing about this work and you'll be like, yeah, no.
Right.
Absolutely does not make sense to me.
Right.
So again, I always say your gut will never lie to you. So if something feels real, and especially when it comes to an experience, and there was a comment here a second ago about someone's brother seeing his brother when he was passing or something.
Yes, I started that one. Let me go find it.
That's the one I was reading.
Yeah, that is a definite thing that happens when people pass, because we never pass alone. People that have passed before us will come to meet us and greet us and help us transition.
Yes.
So
I can't find it now.
And people often ask, I had this sign, it felt like my, fill in the blank. If you have a feeling at that moment that you're getting a sign that it feels like your dad, don't dismiss that.
Yes.
That is your dad, but we have that human mind that wants to just protect us. And it's,
absolutely,
you can, I always say, if I could make mediums irrelevant, I would, because I want people to have this experience for themselves, so I'm rambling now.
On Christina's comment, that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier with the death doula stuff, is being able to validate that who's there, who are they seeing, and so that is a thing. Yes, that definitely happens. But I do want to ask about your uncle, just really quickly, because as I read that comment, I just want to tell you what I was seeing. I don't know if it's your uncle or not. But he's kind of a very tall, lanky gentleman, and he wears a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Like, I just have this, and I'm also feeling like there was an accident with him. I'm not sure. Just let me know if that's your uncle or if it's not.
But yeah, it's so many topics.
Right. There is. And you know, when my father-in-law was on hospice, and I wasn't very open, you know, with my gifts at that time, but sorry, I'm laughing at one of Todd's comments, but I sat and I helped take care of him. And that was an experience for me, connecting with him and helping talk to him about stepping out of his body and working through his fear. And not that he was afraid to transition, but saying goodbye to certain people here and those things. And that was it's not something I could do for everybody, but such an amazing experience to have. Okay. Christina says, I don't believe so. He was shorter and heavy set.
All right. That's okay.
This is interesting. This just popped into my head too, because a lot of people that sit with those that are about to pass, especially the day before or hours before, the person that is sick will all of a sudden have this moment of clarity.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll wake up and it'll be like they're better again, and it's an interesting phenomenon. But I think that's something about the soul, knowing that we're getting ready to go. It just gives them that last few minutes of clarity to have those moments. I've seen it with my father-in-law. I've heard about it, you know, other people talk about it, and they ask that question, and it's so interesting. And I think it's just a chance for them to say their final goodbyes with clarity, because they almost act like absolutely nothing is wrong. They could actually get up and walk out of the hospital and be fine.
Right.
And then within hours after that, they usually pass.
Yeah.
So there's so many things to pay attention to when someone's going through that transition. But yeah, for people like Jennifer to be able to give that family that comfort and talk about that, and I wish we could talk more often, openly about death, because it's part of life, and it shouldn't be this taboo thing that we fear. It's going to happen at some point.
It is, and I always get a kick out of, you know, these commercials that come out of TV, and it's like an increased risk of death. How much more can you increase it beyond 100%?
Getting up out of bed is a risk of death.
Yeah, like it's guaranteed, and you know, we fear it, but it's a part of that transition. It's a part of life. If we're here, we all get our turn.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you two know my story, but I mean, going through a kidney transplant, you know, it's been almost 13 years, and every day, you know, I look at and I get asked this question, or I see it a lot in the chats. You know, when will my life be more positive and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you're sitting here right now watching this show, you're already having a good day.
Yes.
Because I look at it every day past that December 7th of 2010 when I had my transplant. I can't have a bad day from that, because I shouldn't even be here, you know? So it's kind of like, if you're still here, you're having a good day. Yes, it's just your perspective on how you want to look at things.
It is. I had a client one time call me. This was when I still worked on the phone line, and she had a cancer diagnosis, and she said, am I going to die? And I said, yes, we all are. That doesn't mean it's going to be from cancer.
Yeah.
You know, so it definitely is a perspective.
You know, and that was a lesson. People have asked me to write a book. I could write a book just on the going through a process like kidney failure, and everybody goes through something, but the mental game is the hardest part of that, because it's like exactly that. It's like, I could have sat and worried about every day, when's it going to happen? When are my kidneys going to fail? Or I could choose to, like, all right, this is just a card I was dealt. I got to play it, and I got to live my life.
Right.
So it's exactly that. I may not die of kidney rejection or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I could walk out tomorrow and get hit by a bus. So it's one of those things. It's perspective. Get up, live your life, have fun, enjoy it. Quit your job 3 times if you need to, because, you know, and that was another thing. I'm like, why am I still here? I'm freaking miserable at this job. I've done it for 3 decades plus. Right. I'm like, it's time for something else. Why am I doing this to myself? we
live this life where maybe we're working to retirement to enjoy life. Maybe we're working, enjoy it now, right now. Every day, people, enjoy it now. Don't, you know, it's like we buy fine china, or we buy these things for special occasions. Every minute's a special occasion. And we have to change that perspective.
Hell yeah.
I am starring.
Smoke that joint you got saved for retirement. Smoke it now.
There's so much I could say about that, but I won't. If you guys if you notice in the top, there's the 2 tabs that say live comments and starred. Yeah. I have been starring some. If you just want to click on
Is that
start,
the blue ones?
Yes, and see if there's any in there that pop out to you.
I'm just reading it. I'm just
taking me a minute too.
That's okay.
I'll dance a
while. I'll keep everyone entertained.
Brittany, as soon as I look at your comment, I didn't even read the question yet, but I just feel like stop procrastinating. I know you watched our lives. Do you struggle with coming out with your abilities? Do you have abilities? Because I feel that's where the procrastination is linked to. I just feel like you're not owning or fearing your abilities. I'll go back to live comments so I can actually see them.
Yep. I haven't seen her chime in with that yet.
And I'll pull a card for you too, because those are the quickest. And I'm still new at tarot, so yeah. And I got the 2 of Wands, which is stalemate. And we definitely got to do a reading for Anne.
Yes, I just saw her pop in. Yes.
So for Brittany, 2 of Wands, stalemate, sitting on the fence, crossroads. So it matches what I just told you. Now, again, I don't know if you can validate the ability side of it, but that's what it was tied to. At least that's the feeling I got.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. I pulled the card too while you're reading for Brittany, and I pulled out. I just got this deck, the Soul Cards deck, and there's I see I keep trying to use the wrong camera. It's just it's awful over here, guys. I'm telling you. But I feel like too, at least there's, I see this as a woman with, and it's hard to see here, the crown chakra is lit up and wanting to embrace it, but I feel a hesitation. And so I don't know if it's abilities, but I am leaning that way. There's definitely something that you are not embracing and you should. And I feel like once you give into that, because even when I look at this photo, it's like she wants to embrace it, but I see joy. So I feel like once you move into that moment of embracing whatever this is, it's going to bring you some joy, because I do feel like you've kind of been like balled up, not being your true you, not experiencing that joy and restricting yourself. So I think that will change a lot of avenues for you.
So I don't know if Brittany's still on here, and I don't want to speak for her, but I just haven't seen her pop back up. But I am just going to validate what the 2 of you said. I do know Brittany personally, and I do work with her a little bit, and she's right in that spot that you guys are talking about.
Oh, okay.
She's right in that space.
And we've all been there,
Yeah.
So,
we have.
We get it.
Absolutely.
And Brittany, I'm going to do a shameless self-plug, but I do have a development course starting in June.
Yes.
So if that's something you're interested in, information's on my website. Let's do a reading for Anne.
Yes, here she is.
Anne, can you give us a question? So interesting when you read other mediums, though.
I know, it makes me nervous, and it shouldn't anymore, but it does, because
I know, because we're people too. I just got to keep that in my mind that we need guidance every now and then too.
Right.
Even though for me it took like 4 years in a row of people telling me this is what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing. Anne, so I'm just going to go for my gut, because as soon as I connect with you, and I know you and I've known you for years, but I just feel like there are opportunities opening up. I just feel like it's been get to a point and it's like stagnant, get to a point, stagnate, get to a point, stagnate. But I just feel like, and I'm bringing, I got to slow down. When I get connected to spirit, I start to stutter because I want to talk so fast. And there I go with my hands again. I'm articulating it with my hands. I'll sit on them. There we go. So Anne, June is very significant. I just feel like an opportunity is going to present in June. And what I'm seeing is just more exposure for your work. I just feel like a culmination is going to present in June. So I don't know if anybody else has anything else to add, but that's what I've got.
So I pulled a card. It is a shark card. And basically it's just on the bottom, it says swim away from this situation. So I know you said and or love, right? Work and or love. So I'll just tell you what this card is. It's a half man, half shark. And it's a mermaid right here. So this card is just saying like use discretion, right? If you're not feeling it, go away. Like don't pay attention to red flags. Okay. That's really like what I feel like this is saying. And this half shark, half man person. But I feel like this isn't just in relationship. Well, it's in not just love relationships, but working relationships, friend relationships, all of those things. I think what happens sometimes, I know for me, because of the work that I do, and I'm very empathic and I give the benefit of the doubt, sometimes way more than I should. So just pay attention. That's all that card is saying to you.
And I just want to add, as I was shuffling, I actually switched decks for you. And I went to the Sacred Forest Oracle. And as I was shuffling, what I was actually seeing was shedding of skin. And first it came in as a snake shedding skin, and then it went into a chrysalis and a butterfly coming out. And the card that came out for you was actually my Phoenix card and talks about transformation. And so for me, what I really feel like is, and I do feel like where Jennifer was in relationships, but not just romantic relationships. I do feel like you have to look at some alignments that you have made with yourself and readjust some of your I don't want to say bonds, but your ties to certain things, because I feel like almost like you're dragging some anchors, if that makes sense, because they show all these ropes coming out from you and dragging some anchors. So I feel like you need to look at things and kind of readjust. And once you are able to adjust some of those boundaries, I want to say, and I see you like starting to cut some of these anchors that are holding you back, I do feel like you're going to be moving into a time that you feel more creative, that you feel more prosperous with self and more freeing. And I do think once that happens, it's going to be coming very quickly. So I agree with Michael that at least some point over the summer, you're going to see things starting to turn around more quickly. So I hope that makes sense.
And real quick, Anne, your aunt is here, and I feel this is your aunt. I was going back and forth between grandma and aunt, and I just asked, is this aunt or grandma? I hear aunt. So what she's saying, she wants to say, she's like congratulating you for establishing, I cannot talk today, establishing and maintaining boundaries with regard to family. So I'm going to leave that with you and hope that makes sense somewhere. But I feel like she's applauding you for that.
She says, I'm making some shifts and I do have anchors, but I am so excited for my future. I love you all so much. Thank you. Oh, we love you too.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Aunt, I just feel this is the mentor. So if that fits for aunt, but this woman, and I know I've read for you, it's been a while, but she feels like she was like a mentor for you. So I'll stop there. I'll just keep rambling. All right.
Okay. I do want to talk about this gentleman that was in my awareness earlier because he's still here.
Okay.
Just a second. Okay. Again, he is, he's tall and he's thin, like lanky is the word that I hear. He wears a cowboy hat and a cowboy boots. It's just part of his everyday attire. Like that's just something that he wore a lot. I do feel accidents. And I also, he shows me a tractor. Wondering, does anybody understand that? I don't feel like he was extremely, he wasn't very old. And when I like 30, 40, when he passed. Just gonna wait.
This hour is gonna fly by.
I know
it is. It is. It's so much fun though having you guys.
I know.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. But now people are gonna have to put up with us every Monday.
Well, let's talk about that as we're waiting for someone to chime in. I was leaving it open for you guys to bring it up, but tell everybody that may not have seen the exciting news what you guys have going on.
We're joining the I'm always the
WLTK-DB.
There you go. Family.
I always have to look at it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year when I quit my job for the second time, it was a plan, and it just things weren't working out. And literally a couple of weeks ago, I woke up and it was in my head all day about I got to get a hold of Todd. I got to get a hold of Todd. And I'm like, why am I feeling this all of a sudden? And later in the afternoon, it was there again. I asked my wife, I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm feeling this radio show. And she goes, I was thinking about that today too. I'm like, well,
that's
shit,
awesome.
There's the sign. I was like, I messaged Todd and I was like, hey. And then Jen and I were talking later that evening or something, right after a live, I joke about our planning that we don't plan. It was like, Jen, by the way, got to go, but hey, you want to do this radio show with me?
Right. Right. Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it because I do love when I catch you guys on your lives on Facebook, just the chemistry and the humor and the topics. I think you're going to be a great addition to the WLTK-DB family, but just overall a huge resource for so many people.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And, our show, we're just going to kind of do what we've been doing during our lives, which is, educate, from our perspective.
Absolutely.
Everything's going to be, I'll speak for me, from my perspective. Some of it may be controversial, but this is what has worked for me. This is what I've learned over the last, 8 years of doing this. And that's, for me, it's the biggest thing is to help people understand maybe what they're going through. I know we'll do our normal chat readings, whatever. It's and that's where the idea of the title came from, no agenda. Cause I literally, and I threw it to Jen. I was like, does this make sense for you too? So it's kind of both of our deal, and it's just we just kind of wing it, go with it. Whatever comes up during the show comes up, and
and your first show is going to be this Monday, correct? At noon.
Yes.
Yep. Right here, guys. Mm-hmm. Monday at noon.
Deidre, can you take all of that? Um, 30s to 40s, accident, tall, lanky, the boots, the jeans, and the hat, like just everyday attire, just what he wore. And I do feel that this was an accident. He's telling me accident. So I just want to make sure that you can take all of that.
And Colleen, yes, they will be on at noon Central Standard Time, so 11 o'clock East Coast. No, yes.
1 o'clock.
No, they're an hour ahead. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard. She says, I believe so. Yes, would be an uncle I never met in my
Okay. So you wouldn't understand. Okay. And maybe that's why it's just like there's not a whole lot. I will tell you that I am seeing a blue healer with him. Would you understand that? I feel like there's a picture of him. In this outfit with this dog. And that might be, since you've never met him, that might be the validation that we're going to get right now. But just let me know if you understand that.
Healers, they're not.
They're cow dogs.
Yeah, they're like
spots. They're medium size. You have several pictures of him. Okay. All right. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, sheepdogs, herding dogs.
Yeah. But they're like medium size. Yeah. I don't usually know dogs. It's weird because I can just like see this one perfect. You do understand.
Yeah, the blue healer.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hang on just a second. Are you moving? There's something about a shift with you. I feel a move. It's either like a physical move or maybe a move within your job place. Would you understand that? Because he's referencing a move.
Yes.
Okay. Just know this. Go with your gut. He's like, he's making me feel like you're questioning some things and you're questioning yourself. You got this. Like he says, you've got this. You are so supported on the other side. But the big thing that he's showing me is that there's a little bit of lack of self-belief. He's just saying, you can do this. Okay. Recent physical move. Okay. You can do this. Like, don't let the stress of this get to you. He's saying you can do this. Also, this is the weirdest thing. And these are the things that make me feel crazy. He's showing me cheese. Like, I do not know why. Would you understand that, Deidre? Why I'm seeing a wedge of cheese?
Oh, God. If he was a Packers fan, then we're
maybe. I don't know. I'm just seeing this. I'm like, why am I seeing cheese? And I asked him and I just see the cheese. But specifically, it's Swiss. Like, that's the weirdest thing. I don't know if you understand that.
Isn't it interesting what they use as symbolism sometimes to pull things in? And like you said, you're like, what? You want me to tell them about cheese? Okay.
I'm trying to ask him a little bit more about the cheese, but
the book who moved my
cheese. Okay, thank you.
The book who moved my cheese.
Now I gotta look at that. I've never heard about that.
Isn't it the mouse who moved? No, is it the book?
I gotta look.
I'm just telling you that I'm seeing the cheese, and you understand that. It looks like you totally understand this. So I'm just gonna leave that with you. Thank you for being open. And again, like he just says, you're supported. These changes, everything's gonna level out for you. Just have some faith in yourself, okay? And again, thank you for being open, and thank you to your uncle.
I love it. That's awesome.
He loved cheese so much. I made him a figure.
Some piggybacking going on around here.
Oh, funny. So we've only got about 11 minutes, guys.
Should we pull cards?
Yeah, let's pull some cards.
Unless you've got something, Michael.
The whole time you were talking to Deirdre,
yes,
I kept feeling a brother. Deirdre, do you have a brother on the other side? And I just felt with this brother, he was referencing falling out of a tree. That's not how he passed, how this person passed, but he keeps referencing falling out of a tree. And I know this is tough because it's like we only got a few minutes, but I kept feeling brother. So I got my turtle deck, my ocean, Whispers of the Ocean deck.
I love it.
Ane has a brother. Ane, did your brother at one point fall out of a tree? I kept seeing this like falling out of a tree when he was younger. And again, I know we only got a few minutes, so I don't want to spend too much time, but it was just in my awareness. I wanted to mention it. Okay. I might just let that go because we don't have time. So I'll just,
maybe it's my brother. Who knows?
I wish I had more time to explore, but it'll.
My brother's fallen out of mini trees.
Oh no!
We had a card drop. No, this is. Yeah, I was being shown him falling out of a tree. This person, so broken arm, everything. So anyway.
Okay, Charlie, I'm going to pull a card for you. See you on there. Well, not anymore because the comments are going by quick, but.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Okay, so this is a library card, but it's actually just really talking about taking control of your own narrative, writing your own story. Like you get to choose, you get to write. What's been written before can't be undone, but you can write everything from this point forward. You get to write it, and you get to write it your way. So this is just telling you, like, take control of the narrative. go forward, get it done. Okay. So I'm going to leave that with you, Charlie.
I love it.
I pulled one, but this is for the collective because I saw it and I'm like, no, this is for everybody.
Okay.
So this is the picture, which is, to me, watching fish is just, a natural form of meditation. But the message with this is enjoy the journey. And I think it's something what we were kind of talking about earlier. So this is for everybody. So I'm being prompted to say, listen to this message. Stay present, stay flexible. Life is about changes. Changes are going to happen at any moment. It's like staying in that moment. And I know this is like cliche. You've heard this over and over and over and over and over. But I literally had to learn to live this way after what I went through. And it changed my life because I don't worry about tomorrow. I don't plan for tomorrow. Ask anybody who knows me, like, what's your plan for, lunch tonight? I have no idea. It'll come when it comes. But it was just a mindset I had to adopt to survive, literally to survive going mentally nuts, worrying about, how's this condition going to affect the rest of my life? So enjoy the journey, but stay in the moment. I just think we need to focus on what's happening now and not worry about tomorrow, and not worry about what's happening next. And I'll just leave it at that because I could go on and on and on and on and on.
I had pulled a card for Bethany while you guys were doing your cards. And what's interesting is you guys probably heard me go, it's because all my cards fell on the floor, except for this one. So, Bethany, again, I'm using the Soul Card deck. And this card that I pull, when I was looking at it, I thought it was interesting because to me, what I see is kind of like below the surface, right? The foundation, things that you have done, groundwork that you have laid. But I feel like things haven't always gone as planned. You build, there's a lot here, right? There's a lot of foundation that they're building until it finally comes up into this flower. So I feel like you've been setting groundwork, you've been working on things. And I feel like some of this too is just personal work, shadow work, sometimes that we call it, and working on these things. And I feel like I keep hearing healing. So I feel like there's some healing coming in. I feel like it's that growth that is coming in and that you're going to start seeing that and feeling that. But what I'm seeing here, if you see this person, they're looking down and they're solely focused right here on this growth and what is flourishing. And I feel like what this is saying in this instant is not just to be focused there. Just because something starts to flourish and something starts to come to fruition doesn't mean we don't continue to do the work. Look at all that had to be done for this to happen. So keep doing that work. Keep working on those things. I hope that makes sense for you.
Can I go to Aspen really quick? I'm not even going to draw a card because as soon as I looked at her name, read her comment, immediately, and Aspen, if you don't know me, I'm very blunt with my messages because whatever I get, I give. So for you, self-dependence must be, you must adapt that like now. I feel that you're outsourcing from others about your life instead of like depending on you. I feel that's a process that you need to work on. You have the capability, you have the ability. I just feel like you're just smothered in just all this white noise around you. And I just feel like self-reliance is your new like mantra. I don't need other people's opinions, etc. I know that's quick, but I hope that makes some sense. Self-reliance.
I love it. I think we have a time for one more card, I should say, because I want you guys to have enough time to tell everybody where to find you and connect with you.
I'm sorry.
Well, should we pull a collective card then?
Yeah, let's do a collective
Do
card.
that. And then we'll have time to.
I'll just say my Facebook page, Michael Christopher, Evidential Medium, and my website, michaelchristophermedium.com. Yeah.
And I have a private Facebook group, which is Jennifer Lee Psychic Medium, and my website is jenniferleepsychic.com. I think. I always have to look it up.
That's funny.
Who are you? Where am I?
Okay. Are you pulling a card, Michael?
Oh, I did mine. I did the
I'll go. Let me go get my cards. I'll let you talk about yours while I pick mine up so I can get a collective card.
Okay, so here's the card, and it's teamwork. And I want to talk about this card. This card is like huge, huge, huge for me. Simply because a lot of times we get very, very independent, right? Which is not a bad thing, except when it goes too far. We are not meant to do everything alone. We're not. I think a lot of times this stubborn independence streak that we get, like, I just don't need any help. I'll just do it on my own. Look for your tribe to help you. Like, look for people that can help you, because I'm telling you, we're not meant to do things alone. We're just not. It's just not the way that we are. We are meant to do things together. And I'm not talking about like love relationships or whatever, but I'm just talking about like the friendships that we make, the networking that we do. We're not meant to do this alone. And especially when we're going through hard things. You don't have to sit there alone. Okay. Please, like, reach out. It takes people. It really, really does. So that's really what this card is about today. It's just about finding that team and not feeling like you have to do and face everything alone, because you don't. So,
can I throw this out real quick?
Yes.
I always back up something I say with a card. So for Aspen, it's literally, I was sitting here, I was like, I pick up the first card on the top and I was like, holy crap, that validates what I just told her. So Aspen.
Yes.
Connect to source. So that's the card. And actually it says, go within, discover what needs to be done, create the shift required to attract what you want. So it just validates what came out of my monkey brain for you.
You're welcome, Dixie. I'm glad to see you on here. That's the first time I've seen you on.
And so when I pull the card, this card's kind of interesting. It's a person, and then you can see the different fish here in the card. And when I looked at this card, I actually was drawn to fishing. And and bear with me in this analogy, guys, but when you go fishing, you might go out, you might go on the water, you might not catch any fish. And we take that for granted, right? We're frustrated. We're out on the lake. We didn't catch any fish. So it's not a good day. But just because you didn't catch any fish doesn't mean that there's not fish in the water. That doesn't mean that there's not opportunities. And I think too often we are put in positions where we overlook opportunities and we overlook the blessing in that moment, right? Being out on the lake, being able to enjoy, being able to do those things in this metaphor. And I feel like what Spirit's coming in is saying, don't, in this picture, right? We see their eyes and there's fish above and there's fish below. They can't see it in that perspective, but there's other perspectives. If you're looking below, the fish is plentiful. If you look above, there's already opportunities there. And so I think this talks about that need of shifting to change our perspective, to change the way we look at things and not overlook things just because we might not see them in that exact moment. That doesn't mean that it's not there. That doesn't mean that it's non-existent. So start looking at your perspectives, folks, and try to look at them from a positive standpoint and appreciate the blessings in the moment.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, I had so much fun. This time just flew by today, guys.
It really
Thank you. And I appreciate, Michael, you planning to come on, and you, Jennifer, not planning to come on and jumping in the last minute, getting up early and joining us.
The way we do stuff.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And everybody, as a reminder, Monday at noon, make sure you're here on WLTK-DB and checking out No Agenda with Mike and Jen. You won't be sorry. They
may be
amazing.
Sorry. They may
It might be.
Bring your lunch. I don't know that they'll be sorry. I think it's very entertaining whenever you guys get together, and the information is great. They might be a little overwhelmed with information, right? Sometimes the rabbit holes we all go down, I think people look at us and go, what just happened? But you guys do not want to miss it. And I thank you all for tuning in. I will see you next week here on Thursday. And then Thursday evening on the new show where I co-host with Rob Thompson, Universe. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
See ya.
See you later.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.